Ricky Donnell Ross was born in Los Angeles on January 26, 1960. He was a good kid who played tennis. During his early education, he never learned to read, and despite being aware of this, his teachers continued to pass him on to the next grade year after year. As he became a man, he realized he was at a disadvantage because of this reading handicap. But he quickly learned that the streets didn't care if you could read, as long as you could count. According to Esquire magazine, between 1982 and 1989, federal prosecutors estimated Ross bought and resold several metric tons of cocaine. In 1980 dollars, his gross earnings were said to be in excess of $900 million, with a profit of nearly $300 million. Converted into today's dollars, $2.5 billion gross and $850 million in profit, respectively. In the late 80s, Ricky's Connect, a guy named Blandone, was to put a big play together for Rick. I believe it was about 100 kilos. Rick got to the location and the police stormed in. Rick was arrested, and due to his prior arrest record, he was sentenced to life in prison. While Rick was in prison, he taught himself how to read and found the legal loophole that would reduce his time from life to only 13 years. Rick would also find out from an investigative journalist, Gary Webb, that Blandone was a CIA operative the whole time. It quickly registered to Rick that America, the one country that waged the war on drugs, was actually the backer behind the drugs being funneled into the inner city of Los Angeles, California, and funneled throughout the rest of the black communities throughout the country.
Since he was released from prison, Freeway Ricky Ross has been on the move. The man who is often called the Pied Piper of the crack era is here to talk about his amazing new book, t-shirt line, literacy program, his upcoming film, as well as his biopic. He'll be talking about all of that today. Let's welcome Freeway Ricky Ross. How you doing, Mr. Ross?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Is that, what should I call you?
It don't matter. Just call me.
Okay.
Freeway Rick Ross. Just don't call me late.
Okay. Is Rick all right?
Rick is okay.
Okay. Well, Rick, just let me say, first of all, it is a pleasure to meet you, and I'm thrilled to do this interview. I was following your story for some time.
Yeah.
And I recently came across the movie Kill the Messenger. And that told your story from the perspective of an investigative reporter, Gary Webb. Yeah. And Webb was the first to expose the CIA's involvement in the drug operation which you ran.
Well, well, not my operation, because really when you look at the whole picture, I was just like the smallest guy on the totem pole. You know, this went all the way up to the White House. So
right.
I don't know if you could say it was my operation or the government's operation or the Nicaraguans' operation. It was, you know, it was some powerful people involved. So.
Well, first of all, let's talk about the great things you have going on. You have your book. If we could show everybody your book. It is in the marketplace right now.
It is.
So you all definitely go out there and support it. It's a great book.
Bestseller on Amazon, Kindle, Nook.
The Untold Autobiography of Rick Ross. Tell me, when you got the first copy in your hand, what were your thoughts?
Dream come true. You know, when I wrote this book, I was in prison.
Really?
With a life sentence, yeah. And I had read about Tookie Williams. I was reading the newspaper, and Tookie Williams had got nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Wow.
So I'm like, wow, you know, my big homeboy got nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, you know. Wow, how amazing was that? You know, a guy from South Central Los Angeles, well, really from Louisiana, but he grew up in South Central LA just like I did. And I was like, man, if he can do it, I can do it too. So I just started taking my notes down, and then I started, you know, getting books on how to write a book, and I just started, man. And to get that first copy in my hand was like, you define all odds. You know?
Wow. So now you are looking to get funding for your documentary by Mark Levin. It's called Cracking the System, right?
It's done now.
Oh, get out of here. It's done?
Yeah, it's done. It's in the can right now.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, Mark, me and Mark, we put it together. You know, it was a long journey. You know, a lot of hardship trying to raise money, and you know, money's really hard to get out here. Even with somebody like Mark, you know, who is as decorated as he is, you know, when I picked Mark to direct it, I thought it would be a lot easier. You know, you got this big name documentarist who's done for HBO, Showtime.
Because he co-wrote Blow, right?
No, Nick Cassavetes co-wrote
Oh,
Blow.
okay.
That's for the movie script.
Oh,
Nick did my movie script, and Nick wants to direct the movie.
Oh, okay.
Mark did Banging in Little Rock, The Obama Theory.
Oh, okay.
For BET. He did Chicagoland, that just came out not too long ago. I know you know about Chicagoland.
Yeah. What's up, Chicago? Wow, Hunnits.
Yeah, what else did he do? Slam, Brick City. I mean, he's well documented, decorated. He's won, I don't know what the prize is called for documentaries, like 4 times or something. So,
Oh, wow.
So he's very decorated, and I was like, well, I know if I get this guy on board, and it's going to be a slam dunk. But it still was a battle.
Really? Now, with the biopic, now I know Nick Cannon is going to play your role.
That's why I like to play my role.
And so why did you choose Nick?
Nobody believes that Nick could be a drug dealer.
That it is going to be quite interesting to see, you know, for him to bring that role alive. It's going to be a lot of work.
Well, I think that the most important part is the naive part, that Nick can bring the naive part to the table. And, you know, he'll give it that little edge that everybody be like, this guy ain't going to be a drug dealer.
So when you say naive, are you saying like to an extent you had a bit of naivety when you went into the game?
Absolutely. I didn't know nothing.
Really?
I was green. I didn't know what color it was. I didn't know what it smelled like. I didn't know how to put it in a bag. I didn't know nothing. You know, basically, street people taught me everything that I learned about selling drugs.
Wow.
I was a tennis player.
Wow.
Had never drunk a beer, never smoked a cigarette, never smoked a joint.
Wow.
So I was totally
New.
naive to all that. You know, only
Really?
thing I knew was how to hold a tennis racket and how to hit a tennis ball.
Now you also have your music label.
Rick Ross Music Group.
Okay. What are your artists? Have you signed some artists, and who are they, if so?
Yeah, right now we got about 15 artists we're working with, but our main 2 artists right now is Blue Marley, who was here with me tonight.
Shout out Blue Marley.
Miko, RX. Who else we got right now on the label that I can think of? My mind is bad. I'm doing so much I can't remember. And all the rest of y'all, shout out to all y'all, because I didn't remember your name. Don't take it personal. I've been on a long trip. I just got back from New York with Reverend Jesse Jackson and Rainbow Push Coalition. They put on an economic summit to unite hip hop.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now you also have the T-shirt line.
I do.
And that's doing well too.
It is. We're getting ready to go into a full-blown clothing line. Right now, what we're doing is we're getting ready to have a contest where we're looking for young. We do want young. We don't want none of y'all old ones who already got jobs.
Sorry.
We want to give some young people a chance, you know, to where they can come in, make some clothes, and get a job from us. You know,
Okay.
we're gonna hire them to be designers on our label. So we're working on that right now. Hopefully we'll be launching that contest in the next month or so.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask you about, now you kind of crossing over into the music industry. You got all the rappers that pretend like they drug dealers. Now you have crossed over into the music business.
Yes.
Do you see any similarities between the dope game and the music game?
We've been taking from each other. You know, the rappers used to take from us. You know, I did the documentary with Ice-T, Planet Rock.
Okay.
Where they talked about, you know, they had just all the rappers from RZA, Snoop Dogg, and they all talked about how they want to dress like the drug dealers used to dress. They want to do the things that the drug dealers were doing. Well, now drug dealers want to do what rappers did, because the rappers took our mentality. You know, Eazy-E them basically took what we were doing in selling drugs and started using it for music. So now we want to take that same mentality and do music. So they feed off each other. And that's probably why so many of our young rappers rap about selling drugs, even the ones who didn't do it.
Now, so a lot of people know that I have a degree in sociology, and so in our field of study, we look at things on we kind of blame the structures in society rather than blaming the individual.
I could agree with that.
When I saw your story, I just saw like many instances where I felt the system had failed you.
Oh, absolutely.
And I believe the culmination of those systematic failures led to your imprisonment. For instance, you said that you didn't get to learn to read till you were 28. And so, you know, when I hear that, it's like, okay, elementary school, junior high, they were just passing you.
Absolutely.
With no regard to you being absolutely illiterate.
Right. Your ability to be passed. You know, maybe your ability didn't allow you to be passed, or you shouldn't be passed. But you know, a lot of times our teachers don't care in our communities about our kids. I believe, and you know, maybe I'm wrong, and not all teachers, you know, don't get it wrong that I'm saying this about all teachers, but a lot of times the teachers who come to our community don't really care about our kids. They're more concerned with getting a check, you know, and getting out of the ghetto.
I mean, so do you feel that the Los Angeles school system failed you?
Not just the Los Angeles school system is failing. I mean, it's failing all over the country. You know, 65% of the guys in prison can't read.
Wow.
And this was federal prison, so these guys are from all walks of life, from Atlanta to New York to Philadelphia to Chicago. So it's not just Los Angeles, it's a nationwide problem.
Now, a lot of people know that you were one of the biggest drug dealers in America. What many people don't know is that your $1 million a day operation was essentially funded by the Reagan administration and the CIA. Your biggest connect at the time, unbeknownst to you at that time, was a CIA agent. Operative.
And let me explain the difference between an operative and an agent to you, because they're both really the same, but they use different words. And if you said that to somebody, and they would be like, "Oh no, he was never a CIA agent." You know, that's how they.
He was operating for the CIA. Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
Okay.
He can still get a check, but he can't be an agent because he's not a citizen of the government of the U.S.
Wow.
He doesn't have a green card, so he can't officially be an agent.
Wow.
The government, but he can be an operative of the government.
Wow.
I mean, he can be funded by them, but he just not on.
Yeah, I read that this guy essentially set you up, and he wasn't even an American citizen.
No, he shouldn't have been allowed to set me up. He shouldn't have been allowed to testify or any of that. But you know, who was going to argue with him? Right.
You know, so again, like as a sociology major, I mean, I see flaws in the system. I kind of see an intentional creation of unemployment in the place in Los Angeles where you were situated, and you were given a job, you know, in a place where many blacks weren't being employed. Period.
Absolutely.
And that job is what kind of began what people argue is the boom of the crack era.
Definitely there was the boom and the beginning of the crack epidemic that eventually spread across the country. Because what happened is once the Crips and the Bloods got a hold to it, they found out that, you know, cocaine was more expensive in different parts of the country, and they went to the money.
And so I kind of see it as a government who supplied cocaine and created a climate for the success of the selling of it. And at the same time, they created laws to make sure that drug dealers got put away for life.
Right.
So it was kind of like they created a problem and a solution at the same time. Now that you know the depths of that conspiracy and the part you play in carrying out what was a political plan, how do you feel the government failed you as a citizen?
Well, absolutely, the government is failing. I mean, the government is failing right now, today as we speak. I don't understand how anybody can bring the drugs into the country, then turn around and prosecute the people who they brought the drugs in for selling the drugs that they brought in. Even though the court said, nah, it don't matter who brought it in. What we're doing today is we're dealing with you and what you did.
Wow.
And you sold drugs, so you're going to prison. So definitely, it's mind-boggling how citizens are sitting back and allowing this to take place.
Now, we often hear rappers refer to drug dealing as trapping. They say, meet me at the trap when they get calls or whatever. What do you think about the glamorization of drug dealing by rappers and the branding of the word trapping? It seems that the lure of drugs has been clearly identified as a real trap for black men, but the youth are kind of being sold this idea of trapping, and they, instead of looking at it negatively, the mainstream kind of media has put a positive spin on it through the rappers. What do you think about being part of one of the biggest traps in American history? How do you feel about the glamorization of drug dealing and them using the language trapping?
Well, you know, right now we got 600,000 black men in prison for nonviolent drug offenses. That saddens me. Even though Obama changed the law to 18-1, I felt that he should have made it.
And that's still like really high, right?
It is still high.
What was it initially? When I saw that and I was like, Obama changed it to 18-1, I was like, Jesus, what was it?
100-1.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was 100-1, meaning that there's guys right now that since Obama changed the law 18-1, but didn't make it retroactive either.
Do you think that if you had learned to read early in your childhood, it would have changed the direction of your life?
Well, it would have gave me options. I believe that what we need for our kids is options. A lot of times I go and speak, people get on me because I don't tell our kids not to sell drugs and not to use drugs. But what I do is I try to give people the information to make logical decisions. I think people get turned off when people who try to tell them what to do and how to do. You know, everybody want to live their life the way they want to. But I believe if we give our kids options to make logical decisions, then they'll be okay.
What would you tell, what do you think we as black people, and especially the youth, need to learn from your experience? If it would be one thing you could name.
Well, the most important thing is that you have to know, and you should know in any business that you go in, you should know the beginning, the middle, and the end. In my situation, I only knew the beginning. I went in because my big homies told me that I was going to have nice cars, big houses, and pretty women. So that's why I went in. Nobody never explained to me that I would be getting a life sentence without the possibility of parole, that I would be sitting in a high-rise building overlooking the ocean in a cell that's about 4 feet by 10, 23 hours a day. That I'd be eating a certain kind of food that was not the kind of food I wanted to eat, behind selling drugs.
Wow. Okay. And so what was the hardest part about you being incarcerated?
Well, from the beginning, you know, you have to get used to just being incarcerated. But in the end, you know, one of the biggest parts is not being able to be productive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you take a person and you kill his productivity, they start to have low self-esteem about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say not being able to be relevant, not able to be productive. Once I learned how to be productive inside of prison, my time got a lot easier.
Mm. And it was in prison that you learned how to read, and it was also in prison that you basically read yourself out of prison because you got into the law books and
I did.
and you kind of uncovered the fact that you had been charged for
Incorrectly.
right.
Incorrectly. And I learned myself in prison. You know, I was able to go back over my life. And this book is a reflection of what I saw that I did inside of my life, you know, from how I started in the drug business with $125 to up until the days that I was making $3 million a day.
Wow.
I put it in the book so that people would get the tips and the ideas of what I did and what it took. And I believe that those skills are transferable. I don't think that you can just use those skills for selling drugs. I think they transfer across lines. I use those same skills against my criminal case. And I'm using them right now, today, in my business life.
Which experience did you value most? Your rise to be a notorious drug kingpin, or the experience you had as an inmate learning how to read for the first time?
I mean, you know, both of them are experiences that I wouldn't get back if I could. You know, people ask me if I could redo my life, what would I do over? And I wouldn't do anything over. You know, right now, I love who I am today. I enjoyed all my experiences, good and bad. You know, the days that probably was the worst day of my life is when the judge gave me a life sentence and my mom fell out in the courtroom. I embrace it. And you know, that's who I was, and this is who I am.
And you're a family man. You're married and you have 2 kids?
Yes.
What's your wife's name?
Myosha,
And your kids?
Bryson, and Jordan.
Oh, okay. And how do you explain your story to your kids? How old are they?
They young right now, but my older kids all know, you know, what
Oh, okay.
I did. And I've had kids to get into the game too, you know, even when I was in prison. I had kids to get into the game. And, you know, I try to let them know the ins and out. And even when I was in prison and my sons told me that they were going to get into the drug business, you know, I told them, hey, come down. Let me give you all the game you need so you know what you're getting into. They never came down to get it, but I feel that we're supposed to give our kids all the information that they need to make logical decisions. So they don't have to be out here guessing and wondering. It's like giving them a problem and you don't give them none of the answers to figure it out.
So did your experience like weigh heavily on your skills as a father?
It killed my father's skills.
It killed him?
Yeah, because I did 20 years in prison. My kids, I went to jail, they were like 7 years, 6 years old. So
Wow.
They never had their father.
Okay.
But not my father's skills, because I was able to, I raised young guys in prison. It was guys in prison that came in, was 18 years old, and I became their father, or their big brother, their uncle. And most of them are still with me today. You know?
And now you have young kids too.
Yeah.
So and how
It's
you
gonna
gonna?
be different with them, you know.
Yeah.
My son and my daughter both can read. Right now, my daughter is 2.5. She
Oh,
can
wow.
read and spell 3-letter words. My son can spell anything. You know, if you pronounce it correctly, he'll spell it for you.
Wow.
And you know, he can read. He can probably read the newspaper. You know, he can read little kid books. So he's 4 years old. So they're coming along well. They both play tennis.
Really?
Yeah, they both play tennis, know how to swing their tennis racket. So, you know, we working on it.
Okay. You trying to have some star tennis players in the future?
Yeah. I should have already had them. My older sons and played with Venus and Serena.
Really?
Yeah, Venus and Serena used to come down to where, I had like a little camp where I had about about 15 kids that I took care of every month. Made sure they had their tennis shoes and their rackets, and when they finished on the court, they had food to eat. And in the mornings when they came, they had breakfast, and just everything was laid out for me. It cost me about $8,000 a month to
Really?
do. But I had a kid to get ranked #1 in the nation.
Wow.
Matter of fact, he still practice with Serena right now today. When she comes to LA, she calls little George, and they go and work out together. So,
So we might see some Rosses in Wimbledon.
we might, you know, it's hard work though. You know, I ain't gonna necessarily force them to do the work that it really takes, because being a pro tennis player is like really, really grueling. You know, you gotta run like 5 miles every day. You gotta be doing push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, and then you have to be on the tennis court like 4 or 5 hours every day.
Okay.
So it's a lot of work, you know, and you know, it's good for exercise, and it's a lot of money in it though. You know?
Well, you would know. You recognize the money in businesses. I know.
So you know, Mr. Williams, you know, he ain't liking it all. You know, I know their dad too.
Oh, okay.
So I know what he did to. I had the privilege of watching him, and he wasn't even a good tennis player.
Really?
No, he was a horrible tennis player. But what he did is he stayed with it, and he learned the game, and he taught his daughters what to do, and that he didn't know, he went and got help with it.
Okay.
So don't mind asking for help.
Before we wrap up the interview, is there anything else you want to tell the people?
And let me introduce you to my man Blue. Blue, come here. Say hi to everybody, man. That's my new artist right here. You know what I'm saying? Come on up in here, man. Y'all be looking for him. You know, we doing big things. You know, we found each other. Somehow, right. I don't know how we found each other.
Hard work, grinding.
And Blue is from here in Georgia.
Yeah.
Tell me a little about
Augusta.
yourself.
What's going on, Augusta? Y'all know me, man. Blue Marley. I've been doing this for a little bit. A lot of hard work. That's why I'm gonna tell them. You know, hard work got me here. Grinding. Believing, having faith.
And you know what hard work Jesse Jackson told me yesterday? He said, "You the man, homie."
Yeah.
I fell out laughing when he said that. Yeah. He just walked up to me, right? And they say, I wouldn't even, you know, because I took pictures with Jesse before. And, you know, he bought a book from me when I was at the Black Caucus, so I wasn't trying to hog up his time, you know, let everybody else get their shine on, because I'd had my shine with the man before. And then he just like, "You the man, homie." And I just fell out, right? I was like, man, Jesse Jackson told the dude who ran for president, you know, I was like, oh my goodness. So, you know, you just can't beat that hard work.
Blue, how is it working for Mr. Ross?
Been a blessing. Like,
He don't work for
We're partnering with.
And to be honest, like that's one of the biggest things I respect the most is that you know all the politics. You know, I have to sign paperwork. You know, and be an artist and this and that. But you know, Rick pulled me to the side and told me personally, you know, Blue, we partners. You know, we got a vision, we got a mission, and we going to do it together. You know what I'm saying? You know, I want to be a part of everything that you trying to accomplish, and vice versa. You know, and he's been a great mentor. Like I tell a lot of my friends and family members is back in Augusta. Like a lot of things about me has changed since I got with Rick. Like my mentality, what I think about things in life, how I look at how I acted in the streets and how I act now, where I came from. I've evolved. Like
Any release date set or?
Yeah, I got a single, Old Dog. Went through Rick Ross Music Group just now recently. Got loaded up through the distribution. We probably gonna do a release on it. I want to say February the 20th. Video going down next week.
Oh wow!
Raleigh, North Carolina. If you in North Carolina, come mess with me. Please come out there. Come out there.
He killed North Carolina.
Everybody that you know out there. We're gonna have a good time. The video gonna be very official.
What made you decide to shoot North Carolina?
They chose him.
They chose me. They begged me to come out. They're like, "Come on, Blue Marley." Like,
yeah, we went down there. Look what happened. They booked me to come. They didn't even know I was bringing Blue with me. So they booked me. So Blue was like, "Man, I'm going down there with you because you're right here in my backyard. So I'm gonna ride with you. I got your back." Because, you know, a lot of times I'll be by myself.
Yeah.
So Blue, like, I'm riding with you. So he jumped in the car, we rode down there. So we doing our little thing, you know, at the party. And I was like, man, Blue, bless the mic, man.
Yeah.
So Blue jumped on the mic, and the club got to jumping, and he jumped off the stage and went down in the audience, and the whole club is like, this here. They all with him, and the club owner come over there, man, he hot, he hot, he hot.
Wow.
You gotta steady come back down here. So I was like, man, that's on you and him. You know, y'all neighbors. So they did their thing, set it up, and then next thing I know, he called me, man, they want to do the video down there and everything. I said, let them if you want to.
So we there.
I don't know, maybe the drill will have to be down there to catch exclusive footage of the video. We'll see.
Anybody available to come, please be there.
Well, I want to thank you, Rick, for taking the time to come
Give me a hug, too.
and interview with me. It was such a pleasure. And Blue, thank you as well.
Oh, thank y'all very much.
And all the drill readers and followers, this will be coming straight to y'all, hot off the presses as soon as I get through editing.
Peace.
Peace.